very pleased to welcome you in the second day of our masterclass. We are about beginning, and before that, we would like to commit today's presentation into the hands of our Maker. So let's be in a moment of prayer posture as we take our opening prayer. Our dear Lord and Master Savior, we thank you today for such a wonderful opportunity to be in your midst. Through your special grace, we were able to kickstart this masterclass yesterday, and you were with us throughout all our endeavors, and you made sure that the program was a success. Even as we have come on a second day, we are trusting you that your presence will reign in our midst. We commit the speaker and every attendant here into your hands, and we ask that you are the bearer of all knowledge. Even as we have come to share in your knowledge, we pray, O Lord God, that may you extend it across each and every participant. That which we have come to learn here, Father Lord, let it be profitable even in our academic endeavors, that we may go and transform, impact our world. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. We thank our Most High God for such a wonderful opportunity again. And I would like to acknowledge the leadership of the National Union of Ghana Students, China, and all organizing committee members for bringing us such an enlightening program. We kickstarted yesterday and we were able to go through how to structure a manuscript from start to finish. And as we build upon our knowledge, today also promises to be yet another section, even in our quest for knowledge seeking. So without much ado, I will invite our dear Edna from Beijing chapter to give us the purpose of gathering for today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Asase Yawa, and I welcome you all on here today, the 17th of February 2024. As it was yesterday, the purpose of our gathering here today is to continue the research masterclass themed Mastering the Art of Research, research writing, techniques and practices. We have in our midst Professor Michael Ashmond Appiah, an associate professor from Dubai Business School, the University of Dubai, who will be taking us through today's lesson under the topic, the importance of literature review in research writing, the SEIOW method. With utmost respect and rapt attention, I urge us all to sit back and enjoy today's class to the fullest. And please be reminded to invite your friends and colleagues to join today's class, as it promises to be very educative, interactive, and much worth the time. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Miss Edna. Really appreciate it. So at this juncture, we are here for business, and as usual, we move on straight to business. So as we've all been made aware of our purpose of gathering, we are in no time going to experience a wonderful presentation from our guest speaker. And before that, we would also like to introduce him. You know, Ms. Edna gave a brief description about our guest speaker, but we have more to that. So let's all stay tuned, even as I call our dear Benis from Wuhan chapter to introduce the guest speaker for today.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, please. Okay,
so my name is Benis. I am much honored to be given the opportunity to introduce the chairperson for the special occasion. Professor Michael Ashmond Appiah is an esteemed associate professor at the Dubai Business School, University of Dubai, United Arab Emirates, with a robust postdoctoral background from the School of Finance and Economics at Jiangsu University. His scholarly journey, marked by the doctorate from the same prestigious institution, underscores his dedication and expertise in the realm of sustainable development and assessment. Professor Appiah's research portfolio is diverse, covering financial, developmental, environmental, and energy economics, with a key emphasis on econometric modeling. His work is not just confined to academia. As an editor for the Energy and Environment and Research Open Journal, he contributes to shaping the discourse in his field. His role as a reviewer for renowned journals like Renewable Energy, Energy Economics, Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews, and international reviews of finance and economics further solidifies his standing in the academic community. Recognizing of his contribution extends beyond his publication, as evidenced by his receipt of the International Young Talent Award from Jiangsu University. Professor Appiah's commitment to addressing developmental challenges spans across regions, reflecting a deep-seated passion for fostering sustainable growth and development worldwide. With any further hesitation, I present to you Professor Michael Ashmond Appiah. Thank you.
Thank you. Prof, you are welcome.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm your brother. I'm your brother because I schooled in China, so yes, I'm not lost. I think I'm home.
Okay, we welcome you once again.
Welcome home, Prof.
Thank you for the opportunity given to me at this juncture. I want to begin by thanking the Honorable President of this chapter, President, His Excellency Stephen. I call him Asil. He knows why I call him Asil. Okay, so I thank him so much for this opportunity, and also the executives of this chapter. You are doing a great job, and I must say, God bless you for the job you are doing for the chapter and for the whole students' body in China. I don't normally go with the name, the professor and all those things. I'm just part of you. I'm just a commoner who has gained some little knowledge, not so much, but some little knowledge with which I am being called upon today to share with my brothers and my sisters, those preparing to write their theses, those preparing to write papers and all these. I am trying, or I will try to give out what I have studied and what I have learned way back in China and also here in Dubai with you. Yeah, I have been a product of China, Jiangsu University. I studied in Jiangsu University for 4 years. Later, I gained the opportunity to be a postdoctoral graduate. And God being so good, I had the opportunity to come to University of Dubai, with which now I serve as an associate professor of finance and economics in this prestigious university. Yes, I wouldn't talk so much about myself. Yeah, yesterday, my other colleague, that is Professor Bright, he's a friend of mine. We have co-authored, and we have authored so many papers together. I've been learning from him, and he has been learning from me as well. So we all share the same common research area, and we also share the same common idea. Yesterday, he set out the pace and the platform for us to continue today. I will not be doing so much because yesterday he taught us a lot. Today, I have a single assignment to do, and that is looking at the literature aspect of the research that we do or the research we are about doing. The literature review is part of the research that we don't take it serious, but it is serious because most of the students or most of us, we students or we professors, we think that the literature review is something which is already there. They are already in books. So we don't have anything to do but just go into the books and go and copy and bring it. But our main work is the methodology and the discussion. No, if we have this mindset, I think this mindset is a little limited because the literature review also forms part of the research that we are doing. Because you are not the first person, and I repeat, you are not the first person, or you will not be the first person who is writing or who is researching in a particular area or in a particular topic. So definitely you need some kind of knowledge. In the teachers will tell you RPK, that is relevant previous knowledge. You have to get knowledge that you will base on this knowledge to also build your point. Google Scholar have this slogan: stand on the shoulders of others. Stand on the shoulders of others. So we go through how we can have a good literature review, and also, if time will permit us, we will use how we can use the Endnote software to do our referencing. Yeah, it will be a little practical, just as my senior colleague yesterday taught us. So I'll be sharing with you some few slides, one or two things, and later we will go on with the practicality, that is sharing some of the papers that I've written and how this literature review has been done in some of my works and some of the works of my other colleagues. Let me tell you, because of literature review, my papers has been rejected, or some of my papers is being rejected because of literature review. The journal wanted the literature review to follow a certain style and a certain manner, and I didn't produce some things like that. And based on this, I had 2 of my papers rejected in two reputable journals. So rejection is part of the work that we do. Although even with our level and our status, we still get our papers rejected. The other time, I was talking to one of my friends. Immediately, I had an email that my paper was rejected. I was like, I lost focus because I put a lot of work in this paper and it got rejected. So we should take every part of the research very serious, from the introduction, even to the referencing, to the acknowledgement and everything, so that the hard work we've put into the paper will not get wasted. At least we will get a revision and possibly our paper will get published. So I will be sharing with you some things I have put down, and that we are all going to study about it, and we see how we can work out with some of our papers. And please, can you see my screen?
Sure, we can.
Yeah, we can see.
Yes, we
please,
can
which
see.
part of the screen can you see? Is it the paper
The
or
title.
Paper.
The
Paper.
of the journal, yeah.
Investigating the connection between
Okay, you can see
Innovation, natural
the paper. Okay, all right. How do I share the PPT instead? I want to share the PPT on my screen.
Please use new share.
New share, okay. I have the new share here, but okay, I have it here. Okay, thank you. Right. Please, is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to understand literature review and mostly the importance of literature review in our research. At various stages of our education, I am not in the right position to tell you that research or literature review do this or do that. And no journal will ask you what are the importance of research literature review. So give me 3 or 4 points about literature review. But we have to know how it is being done. So when we are doing it, we do it well and well. Okay, so we begin by looking at what the literature review means. When we say the literature review, what it means. Everybody will have his own definition or explanation about how literature review is. But basically, to me, I see literature review as a comprehensive summary.
At Charlton University, I gave his contact to you. He sent me a message that when
so a comprehensive summary of previous research on a topic. It surveys or it generally looks at articles, books, dissertations, and etc. And also provides a description and a summary, or it gives a critical evaluation of it. Now let us look at the purpose of this literature review or the importance of it. Why do you think it is even needed in our what? In our research or in the paper that we write? Or in our thesis or dissertation or whatever. So the purposes include it synthesizes past research that is helping us to understand the progress in the field or to identify patterns, themes, and relationships among the existing research. So it helps us to understand what has been done in the topic that we are researching or in the problem that we have identified. And that's what can we as new researchers do on what has been done. Also, it's also identify gaps and inconsistencies. Research is just like human needs. They are unsatiable. I'm an economist, so all things being equal, I'll be using my economic terms and words. So research is just like human needs. Human needs are unsatiable, meaning that we cannot satisfy human needs. Today you may need it, but tomorrow you may need another thing. It's just like research. We identify gaps and we fill those gaps. And each and every day there are gaps coming inside research, coming inside topics, identifying problems and all these things. They all come day in and day out. We come. As yesterday, my senior colleague spoke about the fact that some of these research gaps are being found on the market where the industries or at the corporate world. And also some are also being found in the papers or in the topics that has already been written in some books and in some articles that has been published and that has been written. So we combine these two to identify gaps or the inconsistencies in this knowledge or in this research. And it will enable us to have a lean way or an idea of what we need to do. Okay, also it establishes the context of a research project by situating the existing scholarship and explaining the framework. It is just as I'm explaining the literature review basically to the layman on the street, that whatever has been done, we have to look at what has been done so we will see where we can go forward. Also, it demonstrates research scholarly competence. So all these are the purposes. As I said earlier, there is no journal or there is no paper which will tell you to describe or list the purposes of literature review. No journal will ask you to do that unless maybe you want to research on that. That is fine. It's a new area that you can look at, but they are already there. So looking at the purposes, no journal or no researcher would try to do that. So we have the types of literature review. We have the systematic literature review, and we have the narrative or the traditional one. Since we are in school and we are academics, these are the two. There are more, but these are the basic ones that we normally use in our research, whether paper writing, whether thesis, whether dissertation. These are the two main ones that we use. With the systematic, it's commonly in thesis and in dissertation and research papers. Also, this type ensures a rigorous and replicable methodology, making it suitable for academic research and stuff. And we have the narrative one, which also is utilizing. So these are the two basic ones that we normally use in academia. There are other ones that we use. And with the systematic, that is where we have the bibliometric and then we have the meta-analysis. With the meta-analysis and with the bibliometric, that is where true research or a topic is being done without data. We just look at papers. We just read the papers and see the results and see the outcome of all these papers, where they agreed and where they did not agree. That is where there are contradictions. And with these two, we also sit down to evaluate, analyze these two, the left and the right, and evaluate them and bring out a new research area or a new research field or idea that needs to be looked at. So let me share this with you. So we have a sample like this. Please, can you see my screen? Hello?
Sure, we can see your
Yes,
screen.
sir.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, so with a systematic literature review, a typical example is this. As I am saying, it scans all literature that has been written on a particular topic. And based on that, we analyze where they meet and where they did not meet. That is the common knowledge and the contradictions. So based on this, we come out with a research area, or we come out with a new research topic, which needs to be what? To be looked at. With this form of literature review, you have also a section, or you have a point to prove how you were able to gather all these literatures to prove to us their commonalities and also their contradictions. So if we look at a typical systematic literature review like that, it was looking at a particular topic, which is the use of artificial intelligence in the digital era. So with this example, it wants us to know the importance of artificial intelligence in the digital era. So it will gather all the papers that has been written on artificial intelligence and the outcome of this paper, where they met, or the commonalities and their contradictions. Yes, in gathering all these papers, you have to tell us why or how you were able to do that. We have models, or we have methods that we can use. Mostly I use the Prisma model. If anyone have heard the Prisma model, we have something called the Prisma model or the Prisma method. It is a guideline that is going to help you to gather all the necessary literatures on a specific topic, one by one, and how you are going by it. The Prisma model have 22 guidelines. At least you have to meet 15 and above before you can have a good systematic literature review or a bibliometric. So even with just writing literature review itself, it is also what? A job. And you need to read and work it out well. Yeah. So we can also check the Prisma model or the Prisma method, which can be used to write systematic. And even with the Prisma method, we have one software called Hazin, H-A-R-Z-I-N-G, Hazin. Hazin, publish or perish. That is the name, Hazin, publish or perish. This will help you to gather all the papers within a specific year rather than using the Google Scholar and the Science Direct and all this. And this Hazin, publish or perish. It's a software that will help you to gather concrete papers on a specific topic or an area. So this is a little about the systematic literature review. Then we go to the normal narrative or the traditional. That is where we review papers and also know what has been done from there. So we can look at this paper. That is my paper published in early 2023. It was talking about investigating the connections between innovation, natural resources, and environmental pollution. So this is a typical example of what? The traditional or the narrative literature review, right? We just have to collect ideas about the topic. So the main idea of this paper is to look at the effect of innovation, natural resources on what? On environmental pollution. So we gather the ideas, the paper that has been written on innovation and environmental pollution. Then later we look at the paper that has been written on what? Natural resource extraction and environmental pollution. So we can see, or we have known a typical example of a systematic literature review and a traditional literature review. Personally, in my life, since 2018 till now, I've only published one systematic literature review. It is a lot of work to publish systematic review. I would even use it to publish a new research article because I see it to be a little tedious, reading a lot of papers, reading a lot of work, bringing all of them together to analyze and evaluate and give a new research area or a new research topic. I have about 50 papers published in top quality journals, but there is only one paper that is on systematic literature review. But all the others, the literature review, the type that I use in them is the what? Is the normal narrative or the traditional literature review, right? So that is what we can say about what the literature, the types or the what? The forms of the literature review. Okay. Now we go to how we can do the literature review itself. As the lady who introduced the purpose for today stated, we are going to use a simple framework. I call it simple because if you go step by step, you will be able to write a literature review even without calling anybody. Yes, so we have the SEAL framework or the SEAL model, right? We have the SEAL. The moment I heard the SEAL, Cristiano Ronaldo name came into mind because I'm a fan of Cristiano Ronaldo. And the SEAL and the SU, they are anphonyms. So I saw it very interesting to look at it and how best we can go by it. So if you have forgotten about anything, you will remember the SEAL framework or maybe Cristiano Ronaldo's celebration. So okay, so let's go through the SEAL framework and let's see how it it apparently works and how we can use it to conduct our research or our literature review. As I said, the literature review is very, very important. It is also one important aspect of the research that we write. Just recently, I think a week ago, just a week today, last week, I had the opportunity to have a meeting with one of the top finance editor in finance and research letters, and also International Journal of Research and Finance. The name is Renatas. Renatas Clickis. Yes, Renatas. And I was having a discussion with Renatas. And he made mention of the reason why he rejected my paper. He knows me, but he rejected my paper all because he wanted my work to go in a certain manner. He knows that we are good researchers, we are good writers, and that he expects us to do more. But I don't know what happened. Apparently, it was a conference paper that I submitted in University of Southampton last December. And we wanted something quickly so we can begin the year. So I just put down something so that we can publish this paper early. And when I sent the paper to Renatas told me, no, we know more and we can do more. The literature review section, I cannot accept your work. And he rejected my work. Later, he sent me an email, told me that he wants to meet up with me. And I said, what? You have rejected my paper, you want to meet up with me? But it was good because I had the opportunity to learn from that. And it is also good that I am meeting you today to express and to share with you what led to my rejection, so that when we are doing it, we will also look at it so we may not repeat the same mistake. So let's look through the skill framework and let's see. We have one, the search for relevant literature. We have to first have a research question, or we have to identify a problem. Not going too far, I am a recipient of International Young Talent Award, and it was based on the proposal that I wrote. I had funding for that. It was based on the proposal that I wrote, and I had that award and that funding. And you know, our Chinese people, so I have to write something on bricks, with which BRI, Belt and Road Initiative. And this research or this proposal won me that award. And out of that award or that funding, I was able to publish this work. I was able to publish this work. That is innovation, and apparently one of my research areas is innovation. And you know, our Chinese people, when we talk about environment issues, they are happy about that, right? Yeah. So I have to go through some of this framework to be able to develop a good research proposal or a proposal for funding. And what I wanted to look at is the impact of natural resources and innovation on the environment. Because with the BRI initiative, they are mostly looking at African countries. And we know African countries is being endowed with so much natural resources. So we are going to see how extracting these natural resources is possibly going to help reduce environmental degradation or increase environmental degradation. There are a lot of Ghanaians here, and we have seen how this galamsey thing is destroying our environment and destroying our forest. Apparently, I'm a sustainable development person, and when I see some of these things, I get hurt and I get worried about it. How, because of natural resources, our water bodies, our forests are being destroyed. Or because maybe there has not been a critical analysis about the ways we can go about extracting natural resources. So actually, I wrote a funding for that, and I had that. I wrote a proposal and I had that funding. So First, I had a problem in mind that I want to see the impact of innovation on environmental degradation. So this is the problem I have. The problem, where did I generate the problem? As yesterday, my senior colleague said, you can generate this problem, or you can identify this research question from what you have read, or from the industry, or from the environment. So apparently I got this research question or research problem from the environment, because I heard that there's this galamsey going on. Yes, since 2018, I've not been home. 2018 to 2023, I miss home though. And just after that, yes, and just after that, boom, I came to Dubai. So you can just imagine, from 2018 to 2021, I completed school, and 2021 to 2023 for my postdoc, and 2023 till now, I have come to Dubai, you know. So I miss home, and when I hear these stories about Galamsey destroying our environment, destroying our water bodies and all this, I get worried about that. So it gave me the edge to look at what needs to be done. So that is the research problem what I gathered, the research question I want to get answers to. So first we search for relevant literature regarding the topic that you want to look at, or regarding the problem that you want to get it solved. And here the problem was what? The problem is environmental degradation and natural resource extraction. What needs to be done, right? So we search for relevant literatures. And where can we get these relevant literatures? We can get them in what? We can get them in a good database. I said good database. Apparently, I don't like using Google Scholar to search for articles. There is a saying in my country, or in Ghana, that when you are pregnant. If you are pregnant and you want to give birth to a beautiful kid, let beautiful kids get closer to you so you can give birth to a beautiful kid. The same way, if you want to write a good research paper, you have to get papers from a good source. And personally, I use the Science Direct, the Elsevier, because I say abroad in America. Abroad in America. Indeed, papers Elsevier, Science Direct papers. Indeed. So to me, if you are able to write one strong paper into that area, halas, I'm speaking a little Arabic. Halas, you'll be able to what? You'll be able to sail your way through, you know. So we search for relevant literatures. And after searching for relevant literatures on the topic, listen, on the topic, because one, you are not the first person researching on that topic. And you are not going to be the last person. So on the topic that you are going to write on. So you search relevant, not any other paper, but what? Relevant research papers on your topic. You can also look at Web of Science. They also have a good database that you can get some papers from, and maybe PubMed. Yeah, we also have one correct database called what? Called PubMed. So you can also look at that. After that, you have to evaluate the sources. Yes. And how do we evaluate the papers, the sources of the papers? One, we can evaluate the sources of the papers through their citations. If you are downloading a paper and you see that the number of citations of that paper is high, then it means there is something good in the paper that people are looking into. There is something good in that research paper that you are that's making people to cite and to read that paper. So one, to evaluate the source, to see the credibility and the quality of that papers or Latin literatures you have gathered, you have to look at the citation. And how can you look at the citation? Looking at the citation, you have to go to maybe Google Scholar. For that, you are going to get the number of citations from there. So citations also count in our search for what? In our search for quality paper, citations also count. You cannot use paper with just one citation, or you cannot describe paper with one citation as a good paper. No. Per the experience of the stage that I've got into, I think if you are looking at only one paper with one citation or some few citation, then I think you have to extend your reading, right? And evaluating these sources comes as a result of doing all these things. And after getting all these papers evaluating, you keep the ones that is directly to your work. So using my papers as an example here, when we can go to we go to Science Direct. Then even for the search of the relevant papers, you have to get a correct keywords. So I am looking at natural resources and environment, right? So I use the Science Direct. So this is how I do it. So you can see the papers that has been written on natural resources and what? And environment. So you will download these papers and read them. Even with reading papers, there is a skill used in reading papers. There is a skill used in reading papers. I remember I have this friend in Koforidua Technical University, and he contacted me to guide him in this research thing. So I downloaded some papers for him and I sent it to him. And I said, read. So after 2 weeks, I asked him, how many papers have you read from the papers I gave? He says, I have just read only 2 papers. I said, 2 papers? How? 2 weeks, 2 papers. How do you do that? He says, I don't know how to read. And I said, reading is a skill. If you want to write more papers, you don't have to read from head to toe. There are some portions of the paper that you have to what? You have to read. So if you are writing a research literature review aspect of your work, when you pick the paper, go to the literature review aspect, go there and go and read. If you are writing on the introduction, when you pick the paper, you download the paper, go to the introduction part, go and read there. You cannot read all the sections, but if you want a general reading about general reading of a paper, personally, I use this method. I read the abstract, I read the introduction. With the introduction, I don't read all, I'll read just some little portion that is from the significance thereabout. Then I go and read the discussion, the method and the discussion. Yes, for the conclusion, I don't read because the conclusion, I'll get them in the abstract. So if I'm reading a paper, I read only 3 aspects of the paper. The abstract, the introduction, some little part of the introduction. I go to the methodology and the discussion. So with somebody like me reading a paper and with you reading a whole aspect of the paper, within some few hours, I can read more papers than you reading from here to toe or from A to Z. So even with reading of papers, it's a skill that we need to develop. As researchers, if you don't have the skill or the techniques to read, I pray that today you'll receive the gift of reading papers. So you can You can read papers as more as you can, so you can have a good evaluation for your research. Okay, so we continue on with the seal. After evaluating, we identify themes and debates and gaps. This is where the problem is. This is the work itself. Why I say this is where the problem is and where this is where the work comes here is, this is where you bring all your critical thinking here. You do all your critical thinking here. All that you have to do is basically with the eye here. You identify the themes, the debates, and the gaps. And identify the themes. Each and every paper has a particular thing that it is talking about. It could be the theme, where the theme would be a topic or an area. It could also be what? A debate. A debate is where there has been what? There has been division on the outcome of something. People are saying that it is what? It is A. People are also saying that it is B. So looking at all this, you also ask yourself, am I going with the A people or am I going with the B people? Even you going with the B people, you have to ask yourself, which area were these B people doing, or which methods were these B people using? So you can go with them. If you are going with the A people, you have to what? You have to do same. And looking at these two debates, those for and those against, that is where we can what? We can create our gap. That is where we can create our gap. The last section will talk about gap creation. That is where we can create our gap, right? And after creating the gap, then you start to write. So the gaps, it can be methodological gap. Maybe all the research are using one type or one form of method. Everybody's using it. Everybody's using it. So now there is a methodological gap there. People are not using some other methods, so you go there, right? Maybe there will be theoretical gap where all the papers are using a particular theory or are using a particular concept, but you want to try other concepts and see whether what it works. You want to try other theory and see it works. Those in finance, those in economics, even those in management, we have a model called EKC, where EKC is environmental Kesnet curve. Most of the research here, researchers or the papers use EKC on environment, but you can adopt EKC and use it in finance. You can adopt EKC and use it in management, but not only on what? On environment. So even it is a theory, but you are using it. You have identified that this theory can be used in other area. That is a gap that you have identified, and you need to work closely on that gap, right? So then later you outline what? Your structures. And outlining your structure, we have ways that we can do it. We have the chronological way. That is, you structure it from the previous date coming to the what? To the earliest date. So maybe you may start from 2010, what people said about that, 2011, 2012, maybe it could be 2011 or 2012. There was no papers published in such an area. So you just jump to 2015 and you jump to 2018 and maybe 2020, then you come to 2024. So it can be what? In a chronological order. It can also be what? In a thematic way. In a thematic way where you only talk about the idea that is being presented. So with this, it also looks at the concept that is being used, the theme that is just talking about. Maybe if it is talking about innovation, you just look at innovation, which papers talk about innovation and the forms of innovation, or maybe the types of innovation. So it could be environmental innovation, or it could be technical or digital innovation. So it could be a thematic. The third one could be what? Methodological. This is where you structure is according to the methods. Maybe paper 1 use method A, paper 2 use method B. So you also what? You also structure all the literatures which use method A. You structure all the papers which use method B. You structure all the papers which use what? Method C. So you are drafting your literature review in a what? In a methodological manner. And we also have what? A theoretical way of what? Of presenting your literature review, right? So this is another structure that you can look at, where you look at the papers with one theory or papers using one theory. You look at papers using another theory. So you group them. So if 10 papers are using EKC, you go and ask yourself, how many papers are using IPAT? How many papers are using STEPAT? They are all models used in finance, using economics, using the environment. All this knowledge, all these things I am going through, we can apply it in all the fields. Even with engineering, you have an aspect that you have to talk about it more, about what people did, even with the experiment that you did, what others did, and what you are doing. So the literature review, it is very important and very critical, and it cuts across every aspect of the thesis that we write and the papers that we write. It's just like the introduction, it's just like the methodology, it's just like the discussion. The same way, literature review is also what? It's also important, but we have to know how we can do it and do it well, right? Okay, so we look at the last one. Now we have to what? Write our literature review. So after gathering all these things, now we have to put whatever we have done into action. And in writing the literature review, the final draft, we look at the introduction and we look at the main body. With the main body, you summarize. So in the summarization, it's either you group them. If you are using the methodology, you group them. Which papers use the same method? Which papers use another method? So you what? You group all of them. That is, after everything that you have done, you group all of them. Piece by piece, piece by piece, piece by piece. Okay, then you start what? You start to write. Now let's go to, after knowing this CU framework, now we have types, or we have other structures or other ways that the literature review can be written. We have one, the literature review, that is written in conjunction with the hypothesis. Yesterday, my senior colleague made mention of hypothesis. Yes, we have literature review, which is written in conjunction with what? With a hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? A hypothesis is an assumption that a result will go in a certain way, right? So that is what? A hypothesis. So I am hypothesizing that innovation will reduce carbon emission or will reduce environmental degradation. This is my hypothesis. This is what I am assuming that the results will go. After testing, after estimating my results, I have to see whether my results is equal to the assumptions that I made. So that is what? Hypothesis development or hypothesis. So we have one, literature review, that is done in conjunction or in connection with hypothesis development. So let's look at a paper here.
Dr. Appiah, there's someone whose video is on. He distracting us with his typing and all that. Can he please go off video?
Mr.
Yeah.
Please, can you off your camera for us. Okay, thank you very much.
All right. I have this paper. I did it with some of the top finance experts. Yes, so you can see it's technological forecasting and social change. I think one of the best papers I've written so far. Yeah. So with this paper, the literature review section of this paper was written in connection or in conjunction with my hypothesis. The hypothesis was that infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation all improves environmental efficiency. So that was my what? My assumptions or my hypothesis. Now I have to develop my literature review in such a way and such a manner that it will reflect my what? My hypothesis. So I have to look at studies. Listen, I have to look at studies which goes hand in hand or which goes boot for boot or bumper to bumper with what? My assumptions. So we have a literature review that is being written in connection with hypothesis development, right? Or with hypothesis. If you are writing a typical thesis, with a typical thesis, there is a section devoted for writing hypothesis. That one, you don't have to link your literature review with your what? Your hypothesis. But with papers, mostly we can do that, or mostly it is done that way, right? So as a reviewer, some of the comments I normally give is that your literature review should be done in connection with what? Hypothesis development. So if you've seen a comment, a review comment with something like this, then probably it might be me, because I review a lot of papers and I reject a lot of papers as well. I accept a lot of papers, I reject, and I give major reviews. When I give you major review, the journal will reject your work, because the review I'll give you is very rigorous, and before you could realize, you end up writing a new paper again. I am not difficult, but I want the best to be done, you know. Yeah, I'm a Chinese trained, and you know, Chinese, they want their things in certain way and certain manner. I'm just like you. I'm just a Chinese trained man, you know. Okay, so with this paper, the literature review was written in connection with the what? With the hypothesis. So let's look at it. So this is what? You can see literature review and hypothesis development, right? So I combined these two together as one. This paper, we had limited words to write, and you have to write a lot in this. So what do you have to do? Some sections, you have to what? Add them together. So this is a typical example of a literature review that is being done in connection with the what? With the hypothesis development. So we can see I was looking at innovation and efficiency, environmental efficiency nexus, right? So my assumption or my hypothesis was that innovation will improve environmental efficiency. So the literature review is drafted in connection with the what? With the hypothesis development. So you can see that innovation improves the environmental efficiency of African countries. So one, you can write it what? In connection. Okay. The second one is you can just write it alone without connecting it with what? With a hypothesis. So let's look at a typical example here. A typical example here. A typical example here, this old paper. This paper, the literature review here was not done in any connection or in connection with any, what do we call it? Any hypothesis development. So it was just the outcomes or the ideas of the papers that have been published in what? In that area. So we can see, or we can check that innovation and environmental pollution. After everything, the hypothesis was not what? Was not added to it. And within, if you read the literature review, you will know, or you have to ascertain that this is where, or this is what I want my research or my results to go in such a way and in such a manner like that. So we also have a literature review like that will help, or that does not connect to hypothesis development. And we have the annotated literature review. Another structure is annotated. Okay, with the annotated, you just list the papers, you just list the literatures, you just bring some salient areas, maybe the years, the method, the results, and that is all. So let's look at a typical example here. So you can see this is an annotated literature review. In this paper, you can see he listed the authors, the sample size, the period, the methodology, and this paper was testing the existence of EKC. So you can see that the theory being used here is being tested. So in some papers, they accepted the existence of EKC. In some studies, there was no existence of EKC. So you can see the results here and the variables they employed to get the results and the methods, right? So it's go on and on and on like that. So this is a typical annotated literature review, right? So in a typical structure, in a typical paper writing, like if you want to write and publish in a top quality journal or top quality paper, you have to at least get 2 of this, or the 3, the major 3. That is, the first is either you link it with your hypothesis. The second is either you write it alone, or the third you write what? The annotated, or this is the annotated, the summary the summary form. In a normal thesis writing or project proposal, we don't have to write the annotated or we have to write the normal one, but not the one being connected with the hypothesis, because in the thesis there is a section devoted for what? Conceptual framework and hypothesis development. So in a thesis, the way the literature review section of a thesis is structured is a little different from how the paper, a normal research paper is structured. Yeah, there are some few theses that I am reviewing for my school, and the way and the manner that literature review is being done is different from what is being applied in the paper. Okay, let's shift a little bit to the thesis, the paper, the literature review section of the thesis. The literature review section of the thesis, we have 3 sections, and I repeat, 3 main sections. We have the theoretical literature review. We have maybe the empirical, and we have another called the conceptual literature review. Okay, theories. Theories are the earliest idea propounded about a topic. That is a theory. So in a thesis writing, the literature review, the theory, every work or every idea or every problem that you have identified and you want to solve, there is a theory backing that literature. There is a theory backing that idea. So you have to go and search for the theory backing that idea. If you don't have the theory, then you have to look at the concepts backing that problem or that topic that you want to research on. Some topics do not have a theory, but they have a concept, where concept means they are not earlier form of theories backing it, but people have given their views about the topic or their views about the research. So we consider that as a what? As a concept, an idea, as a concept, and we can use it in our what? In our research. So we have that. In the thesis, we have theoretical and we have the conceptual. The conceptual comes in when you don't have enough theories to back your work. So the concept comes in. Then we come to the empirical literature review. That is where you analyze the results and the outcome that people have what? The research that people have written on your topic. So we have the theoretical, then maybe you may have what? The conceptual, and you may have the what? The empirical. You can have all the three, but maybe you can have two, the theoretical and maybe the empirical. My thesis, I did the theory and the what? And the empirical, just because the idea I was looking at, they all have theories backing it. This idea has been translated to paper writing, and now some editors. I'm not an editor. I'm only editor for only 2 papers: energy and environment, and the Sage Open. Yes, but most of the papers that comes to me for review, they have the theoretical framework in there. If you are writing any research work or any research article, now reviewers and editors wants to look at the theories backing what? Your idea. Renetas rejected my paper, all because he was saying that, where is my paper? He was saying that this my paper, finance, growth, and environment. This my paper had no theoretical framework, and that he needs to reject my paper. So you can see, this is my literature review. I did an extensive literature review for this paper. But Renetas is telling me that this paper, he needs to reject it because I don't have a good theoretical framework back in this paper. I adopted the 2 forms or the 2 structures of what? Of literature review writing. The normal one and the what? And the annotated. This is the annotated that I used, right? And this is the normal one without hypothesis. This is the normal one, the normal literature review. But the editor rejected this paper just because I didn't have what? A good theoretical framework. Quickly, we go to this paper. The editor was so good enough that he said the idea in this is okay, and that he will what? He will consider me. So I need to, oh, I don't have my paper here. My latest paper that has been published on environmental, on innovation and research. Let me check, I'm coming. Okay, so I have this paper, Enhancing Natural Resource Rent Through Industrialization, and my paper almost got rejected because I didn't add theoretical framework. Why? The paper was not rejected because the idea in it was okay and was fine, but they had a problem with the theoretical framework. So they told me to develop a theoretical framework linking up to the empirical literature review. So the paper got what? Accepted. It is a new paper online. It just came out just last month, that is January. Yeah. So now we can see how important this literature review is and what we need to do as researchers coming out. We don't have to leave any stone unturned. We have to what? We have to link it. So the way and the manner we write thesis, the literature review section of a thesis, is a little or slightly different from what we do in the what? In the research paper. Okay. Now we are still with the structure. You are writing a paper, a research paper. You are in your research literature review section, and you need to write. One, your literature review, your theory section should be linked mostly with your model. It should be linked with your model. Researchers or writers or students are not seeing the link between their theories and their models. And now papers are being rejected based on that small thing. Bright, senior Bright is a little lenient. Maybe he will accept it, but me kojo Dubai there, it be an amenje. Because you did me, do be na reviewer at the same me. Almost I am reviewer too, because reviewer too for no mutrimu yeding. And maybe miss me trimu yeding. Yes, but that is just on a lighter side. Let's do a good and a right work so we can get our works published in what quality papers, right? So if you are writing in the literature review section, you have to make sure that your theoretical review is being linked with your what? With your model. Whether you are in management, whether you are in finance, whether you are in economics, maybe in the other side, we can what? We can, there is a way and manner they do it. But whatever the case may be, your theory and your empirical review all should be linked. There should be consistency and there should be flow with whatever you are doing, right? Yes. So you don't have to leave any stone unturned when writing this important section. Papers are being rejected, and I'm a culprit and a victim to that. My papers get rejected because of literature review. I submitted a paper to Environmental Science and Pollution Research, ESPR. I did everything good, genuine. I was looking at governance and institution. The idea I presented in the paper was clear, better. When I sent it, the editor said, I did a good literature review, but I did not talk about the papers in 2023, which is linked to my work. And my paper got rejected. Dohan rejected my paper because he said that he did not see most 2023 papers in my work. Literature review. Very, very important. Works are being rejected. Yesterday, Senior Bright talked about, yes, contributions. They lay emphasis on that to reject. But now everybody is writing. Everybody wants to publish. So if your introduction is good, maybe your method is good, your discussion, they will find a way. Don't leave any stone unturned. They will find a way. And that way now they will pick on your literature review. Hey, you didn't do this. Based on this, I'm rejecting your work. Very serious. After spending sleepless nights on a paper and it gets rejected. Boom, I'm telling you. Yes, we still get our papers rejected. I'm not saying this to frighten you, but to put us on our toes and see how important the literature review is. So we can see this. I had a typical theoretical background to the study. And this study was linked to the empirical literature and linked to the model. I'm an econometrics, so I normally use what? The models, econometric models, and econometric frameworks to what? To write my papers. Basically, I use statistical figures or statistics to come out with outcomes and policy implications. So now, our notion about theoretical literature review has changed, because maybe how and the way we do our literature review is not through the what? The good and the proper way. Papers get rejected because they don't have theoretical framework or theoretical background. How can you are not the first person to write. There is somebody who propounded it. So if you are using that idea, tell us the idea behind, the theory behind what you are writing. It is just as simple as that. If you go to the hospital, they said they will check your medical history. They will go and look at your book. Oh, okay, medical history, this, your sickness. When we trace, maybe your grandfather, father had this sickness. So you stay away from this, don't do this. It is what medical history, the same way. Literature review, you have to go back. How many people did that? And what did people say about your work? And the theories behind your work. Very, very important. Theories is very important. Concept is very important. I'm just working on a thesis with a paper with a colleague, senior brides. We are looking at innovation and employment in sub-Saharan Africa. Innovation, we don't have theories in an innovation. Where we are looking at, there are no much theories. So we have to adopt concepts. And there is no enough literature concerning the concept of innovation. You can just imagine. Anyways, so we can go on. So now we can look at the connections between the thesis and the paper. Unfortunately, I cannot project or I cannot show you a thesis because it's somebody's work. It has so many copyright issues and stuff. Unless it is published outside, I can show you. But if it is not published outside, I cannot show it to you. Yes. So forgive me, I'm not able to show you a thesis, the literature review section of a thesis. I am sorry about that. Okay, now quickly let's continue with our seal framework, right? And the last but not the least is the third point here, which is identify themes and debate. That is where I term is at identifying the gaps or the research problem or the research question. Research paper is like writing a whole thesis about 300 pages in only 20 pages. So you have to be concise as possible as you can. You have to be what? You have to be a good writer as possible as you can. So you can what? You can produce a good literature review. So first, in identifying the gaps, you have to group the literature based on their similarities. As I stated earlier, you have to what? You have to group them. The methodology, you have to group the those with the same findings. You have to group those with contradictions. You have to group. After that, you summarize whatever you have grouped. You summarize them. You identify major themes. Within them, you have to see there is one connection between all the papers that you have read, between all what you have done. And you have to note the debates. Once you are able to group them, now you know the debates. How many people are saying A, how many people are saying B, and even those saying B, what did they do? Those saying A, what did they do? Which area did they do it? Which method did they apply? All these you have to what? You have to know in identifying your literature, what? Your gaps in it. And now we have to match up our literature. We create a visual map or a table that can help us in organizing the themes, debates, and gaps we have what? We have identified. And mostly with this, the annotated literature review structure is a little useful here, because with this, you can know you can group them in table, or you can fix them in table, the year, the authors. The authors is not so much important, but you look at the ideas or the outcomes. You look at whether it is supporting a theory or it is refuting a theory. And you see the methodology being applied and all these things. Then finally, you evaluate and you start to what? You start to write. So we begin from literature search till the final point. And the final point is now you are about writing. Let me break the back of the camel. It says, what breaks the back of the camel? Let me give you one gist somewhere here. There are so many ways you can write a paper. Personally, I use the bottom-up approach. Where the bottom-up approach, I start with what? The methodology, the discussion, the methodology and the discussion. That is where I start first. That is what I start first. Because in my discussion, I am going to raise some arguments that are in connection with some works and that are in contradiction with some works. So personally, me Kojo Dubai, me Waha. Personally, Appiah Junior, personally, Michael Ashmond, Appiah. I use the bottom-up approach, the methodology, then I come to the discussion. After the discussion, I go to the literature review, because in paper writing, there should be consistency and there should be flow. So after the discussion, some of the arguments I will raise will be or will come from the literature review. So I use that to write my literature review. And I use my literature review to write what? My introduction. This is what I have been using, and it is what it is going well for me. Maybe you can start from the introduction, but as Senior Bright said yesterday, you could even start with something at the top. But at the end of the day, if you get to the discussion, a 10 will come up. Then you have to go at the top, the introduction, and fix it. No, you have to write the discussion. There is this paper I am working on. And initially, I put all the models, what I wanted to do in one model. And I drafted the introduction according to that single model I did. I sent it to the journal. The journal rejected it and told me that this idea is good, but it is not appropriate to include all the ideas in one model. So you have to create 3 different models for the ideas that you have raised. This is the situation. I have written the introduction already. So what am I going to do? I have to go back and reorganize the introduction all over again, just because something in the model and in the discussion has changed. So my little advice to you as a younger brother, or maybe as a senior colleague in the industry to you, is that with the introduction and maybe the literature, you try to look at the discussion first, and you write it from there. Me, I see the introduction as a wall over a house. You can't wall and build. You have to build before a wall. Maybe in China, they wall before they build. I know the system. We wall before we build. But in our hometown, where we are coming from, we build before we wall. Yeah, so let's use that same mentality to build before we wall, right? Yeah, so we use the bottom-up approach. And the moment my discussion changed, my literature review changed, right? So we have to look at some things like this. So basically, this is the little, we cannot exhaust everything on literature review, but as and when we go, as and when we write, our ideas and our mind broadens about what? This literature review thing. And it is very important that the headship of this chapter, this NUGS, has brought this thing up. And I believe tomorrow and tomorrow next, my senior colleagues coming tomorrow and tomorrow next, or maybe, yeah, tomorrow and tomorrow next, they are also going to give us an in-depth about their respective topic that they have to talk about. Everybody is expert, everybody is endowed in one particular way or the other. Personally, I am good in literature review, in methodology, and in discussion. Bright, senior Bright, is in good in conclusion and policy implications and introduction. So mostly I call him the policist, because he can even give some policies which are not in books. Very good writer, very good researcher, very good scientist. And he did a very marvelous work yesterday. And I appreciate him for the foundation he laid for me. I'm just laying emphasis on what he said yesterday. So basically, this is how the literature review, how important it is in the work that what we find ourselves to do. Once we are in the academia, they say you publish or you perish. We don't want to perish. So what do we have to do? We have to what? We have to publish, right? And publishing, you have to get it top. I know in China, we want the SSCI and the SCI and all these things. And now they want Q1 and all that. They are stretching us, but in one way or the other, they are doing us what? They are doing us good. Okay, so this is what we can study about the importance of literature review in the work, how it should be done using the SEAL model or the SEAL framework, and even the structure that we need to do and all these things. What we need to do in what? In writing a good literature review section for our what? Our theses, our papers, and any form of literature we find ourselves to write. Quickly, now let's move to using endnotes in what? In the referencing. Moderator, I've seen a hand up. Maybe can you check on that?
Yes, Prof, please. We will give room for question and answers when you are done. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So this is what we need to know, the basics of this literature review section. Very, very important. Very, very, very important. Just like the introduction, just like the methodology, just like the discussion, just like the conclusion, the literature review is important. Some journals will prefer you add the literature review to the what? To the introduction. And that is a very tough task. It is better they tell you to separate it than to add the two. Very tough task, because in one section you are writing ideas, you are writing significance of the study, you are writing contributions, and at the same time you are writing literature review. Very difficult task if you are to publish in a journal which add the introduction and the literature review together. Very difficult. But alas, if we have an opportunity to get two sections, that is introduction and the literature review, let's do justice to the literature review. Give all your all. Write your theory and your empirics. And alhamdulillah, you are going to what? You are going to have a good work. There are so many papers that I've co-authored with my senior colleague, Bright, that we extensively linked this literature review to the introduction and to the model and to the discussions. All these things play part. Get the opportunity, get the time to read papers from my senior colleague, Bright. And my papers and his papers, we have co-authored so many papers you can read. And we are going to get a lot of insight, and we're going to learn how papers are being written. Halash, alhamdulillah, I think everything is fine. And we go to using the endnotes. Apparently, there are so many referencing tools and referencing styles, referencing tools in referencing. I think tomorrow, my senior colleague, and tomorrow next, I think one of them will be handling referencing, in-text referencing, and that purposely today, my second task, that is a small task, is to know or is to enlighten you on how to use the Endnote software. to what? To do some of your referencing. Basically, I am using Endnote 21, the latest version, Endnote 21. Okay, I am using Endnote 21. Yes, maybe we may have the cracked version, but if we have the opportunity, we should buy softwares. Although I'm in Dubai, but I do buy my softwares in China. I buy it on Taobao, maybe on Pinduoduo. You can get a version. I buy most of my software there. So I am using the Endnote version 21, automatic updates and all that. I'm going to briefly teach you or guide you through, not to teach you, but guide you through how you can use the Endnote software. Endnote software, it's mostly easy to use when it is linked to the internet, right? We have other manual way we can do it, but when you are linked to the internet, it helps you a lot. One features or one function or some of the functions of the Endnote is that one, it gives you the opportunity to add PDFs. We have Mendeley, we have Zotero, we have other forms of what? Referencing tools. But the Endnote is the mother of all alhamdulillah, it's the mother of all referencing tools, you know. Yes. It's just like Peace FM. They say the mother of all radio stations. They say it's Peace FM. So I'm being a little Ghanaian here. So it's just that the mother of all referencing. I'm a typical natural man, so I prefer to go with the Endnote rather than the Mendeley. I can use the Mendeley, but the Zotero, I'm not used to that. But for the Mendeley, yes. It gives you the opportunity. One, it is linked to the internet. When you want to do it, it becomes easy when you want to do your referencing. It have the opportunity to add PDF just like any other referencing tools. Yes, it gives you the opportunity to cite 3 or 4 references at the same time. So we will go by it gradually. If you can see from my screen, I have opened my my Endnote, right? I have opened my Endnote, and let's see how we can we can try our hands on this Endnote software. Maybe if you have one, you can also go by it on your system. But if you don't have one, maybe you can see how I am doing it. So you can do it maybe when you have the opportunity or when you have the means, the software, you can do it. We have the manual way, right? The manual way, that is where you input it yourself. So let's quickly look at the manual way. You go to the referencing and we have new references. If you can see from my screen, we have new references. So you have to select the reference type. Is it what referencing do you want to do? Is it a research article? Is it a book? Is it a chapter? Is it a web page? The reference type, they have about 50 reference types, not reference styles. I say reference types. So we have the research article, we have the working paper, we have the book, we have, even if you want to quote a Bible, they have a section there. If you want to quote the Quran, they have a section there, right? So you choose your the type, your reference type, then you start with the author, the year, the title, the journal, and the volume, the parts, the issue, the pages. It continues on and on and on and on, even to the point of even adding the DOI. So with some journals will prefer that you add the DOI of the papers that you cited. It is also very important. The Endnote will give you the opportunity to do that. Okay. The Endnote too have an advantage that you can put all your references. You can put all your references you are doing into a separate place. Oh, sorry, into a single place. Yeah, so you can check from my left here. I have Steve Power and I have Net Zero. So under the Net Zero, all the references I used when I was writing the paper on Net Zero, they are all here, right? They are all here. So if by mistake the reference in my work got missing or got deleted, I can come to my Endnote. Because I've created a group for that, I will just select, and all the references I used will be will be here. So another advantage of using the Endnote, this is a paid version, a subscribed version of the Endnote. If you are using the one that we download from Get Into PC, you may not have this option. So please, we should, as and when we want to excel in the academic, let's try to get these tools that is going to help us to do our work easy and better. Yes, I feel I'm a writer, but I sometimes feel lazy in writing. So things that will let me write faster and quicker, I will buy and I'll subscribe to, so it will make my work easier and we are growing. We cannot be thinking so much, but so if a system is there to do the thinking for us, why not? We should at least explore and let's see what is there. Okay, then I also have Steve Power here. That is the references I used when writing the paper Steve Power, right? So I also have it here. That is the first thing that maybe I can teach you from here. Now let's go to the referencing itself. One, we have the manual. That is what I initially told you about. And the second one is when it is linked to the internet. We have the ones that the citation that we picked from from the journal's website. And we have the ones that we pick from Google Scholar, right? We have the ones that we pick from journal websites and the ones that we pick from Google Scholar. So we will try both options. And let's see how best we can use the Endnote, right? Tomorrow, my senior colleagues will also enlighten you on how to do a proper referencing. We have referencing and we have referencing. Adding 2 references together, adding 3 references together. If they give you that idea and you fix it into this Endnote, alhamdulillah, your referencing will be perfect and very good, right? So tomorrow's section, don't miss it. Tomorrow, next sections, don't miss it. Alhamdulillah, bibia very fine, bibia very kama. That's it. Me wan kremo fokru minti e o se me kakasa ni bi. Anya se Rebecca say, binye ya. Eti, I thank you for giving me alhamdulillah and alhamdulillah ni na ya kasa ba ko na ni na nyame adom ni yeah. So let's quickly go to how we can cite using our Endnote system. Yeah, so I have this paper here. Where is it? Manuscript. Okay, let me open a new work. Let me open a new work. Can you see the new documents file, new file, Word file? Can you see that? Please, can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So first, let's see, we have this paper. This paper that we want to cite. We have this paper that we want to cite. We have enhancing natural something like we want to cite, right? So first we can cite using the DOI, that it's a hyperlink. You just click, it will take you there. Or we can do that by the author names or by the paper by the paper title. But for easy way to do it, you have to pick the paper title. So let's look at this by picking the paper title. We copy. We are going to use the the Google Scholar approach. So let's quickly go to the Google Scholar approach. Okay, let's go to the Google Scholar approach. Now this is what my Google Scholar. Please, can you see my Google Scholar?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
All right, okay. So we have copied our title. We come and what? We come and list and we search. So we can see the paper here, enhancing natural resource rents through industrialization and something. All right. There is so much easier way. But they are doing well. You know, I have been able to link my Google Scholar straight with my Endnote. But if you don't have something like that, you can maybe also do that. So you go to this side, you go to settings, right? You go to settings, you have show links to import citations into. I am using Endnote. So I have chosen what? Endnote. There are different importation formats. So we have the RefMan and we have the what? The RefWorks and we have the BibTest. I think the BibTest, Zotero will use BibTest and maybe Mendeley may also use what? BibTest. Endnote use RIS. They also use the RIS format. The Endnote also use RIS format. But I am using Endnotes and I have seen Endnotes here. So I just select my Endnotes and I save it. Right. So now my Google Scholar has been what? Has been integrated with my Endnote. So I don't need, and I repeat, I don't need to maybe open and go and import through something. It will give me a direct access to import through what? Through Endnote. So you can see, I want what? I want to cite this paper. If my system is not linked to Endnote, I would have this option. Please, can you see?
Yeah.
Yes. I will have this option, right? And having this option, now I have to come and choose how I want to what? I want to import. But alhamdulillah, because I have already integrated my what? My Endnote to my Google Scholar. So you can see that now I have imports into Endnote directly from here. Right? So I just click import. And I have the Endnote format here. So the moment I open file, it will open through my Endnote software. So let's see something here. Now we can see that it has what? It has imported through what? My Endnote. Now, this system I'm using is I am linking, or I've linked my Google Scholar, or I'm using the Google Scholar approach. Right? I am using the Google Scholar approach. So you can see how I went through the stages. All right. So now I have my what? My citation here. I come to summary. I have to come and check. I have to what? Come and check whether it follows everything that I want. Right? So I'll come and check. Is it resources policy? Is it
Professor, can you please share the Endnote screen? Please, we are still seeing a Google Scholar screen,
sorry.
please.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Please, do you see now?
Yeah.
All right, so I imported through, I imported through what? Through Endnote. And now we have what? It's in the system now. The reference is in the system now. We come to this side, edit. This is where you also have the opportunity to fill in some sections which has not been filled, right? So you can, if the journal is wrong, you can have access to what? To edit the journal. Maybe the issues, you can what? Have access to it. This is a newly published work. So it has not been included in an issue and page numbers has not been given. So that is why you don't have a correct page and an issue here. So if you continue on to go, we have the DOI, right? Because this paper or this reference is imported from Google Scholar, I didn't have, or the system couldn't pick the DOI. But if I am to import from the general website, the DOI should come or would come, right? But if you are using the Google Scholar approach, that is the easiest way. Yes, it's like taking a subway. It is a little faster, but it is dangerous too because you are under the, what if it collapses? So we have to also be China setting us na making.
Yes.
When they say be good all. Okay, so you can just pick up your DOI and come and paste it here, right? You can come and paste it here. So you can have some of the sections filled up here. Later, for all any other thing, you have to save it. You have the save option to save the changes that you have made, right? You have to save the changes that you have made. So after saving, then you have the opportunity to cite. Now let's come and see the citation. Okay, all right. Okay, so now after I have issued the citation command, this is what I have here. Now it has cited very well and very clean. Now this system also gives me the chance to edit or choose a referencing style. Even if the referencing style is not in my system, I have the opportunity to add it up, right? So if you look at what is the name of this? My ICT teacher died earlier. It is what? Tax bar or what? Menu bar. What is this? This bar is what? Tax bar or menu bar. Okay, this is tax bar. So maybe
this is menu bar.
Menu bar. Okay, menu bar. Thank you, sir. Menu bar. All right. So I have my Endnote here. The style, I have the opportunity to choose the style that I want. We are Chinese, so what do you have to do? You have to choose the Chinese standard, right? Alhamdulillah. Okay, let's look at the Chinese standard. So this is the Chinese standard, right? Okay, I am not in Chinese now, so I use the Appiah system, version 7. So let me choose my version 7. In your place, you can choose the Chinese style, but in my place, we choose this. We still have the opportunity to add some changes, right? So we have to look at how we want it to appear. Is it in the middle of a text, or is it beginning a statement, or is it the reference, and is it in the middle of a text at the end, or at the beginning? I will not go much into this because tomorrow or tomorrow next, alhamdulillah, our senior prof will guide us through how we can do a proper referencing, the in-test referencing and the end-test reference. We have mid-test referencing, the in-test, the beginning test referencing, the in-test referencing, and the end-test referencing. Tomorrow, alhamdulillah, our senior colleague will guide us through that. So this is first approach that you can use to do your importation. Okay, this is the Google Scholar approach. Now let's go to the general website approach. All right, now we have our paper here. Where is it? Okay. This is our topic, the paper. This is our topic. We want the general website approach. Please, can you see the screen? Yeah, please, can you see the screen?
Yes.
The Google Scholar screen.
Yes, the Google Scholar screen. Yeah. So we finished using the Google Scholar approach. Now let's look at the general website approach, right? So I opened a new tab and I put my topic in there. alas, I search, right? Okay, that is the first paper here, Science Direct, Elsevier. Okay, I cannot cite directly from Google because this is not the website of the journal. So I have to what? I have to open. Now the paper is what? Is here, and it is free online. You can view and we can download and maybe you can read and cite my paper. So please, those in my area, economics, finance, and all these things, you can cite my work, right? It is fine. Cite my work. So I will get to the top too. All right. So we have the we have the option here, to cite. All right. You can see that this, we don't have the EndNote format here. You can see that. Yeah. But initially I stated that the EndNote also uses the RIS format. If you could recall something like that, it also uses the RIS format. So if you don't see the direct EndNote format inside, you can see the IRS format. Okay, so this is the RIS format. I export. Now you can see from this side that it has been what? It has been downloaded. Maybe you will be using Google Chrome. You go to download, you see this RIS format there, right? Then you open. It is an EndNote user interface. So the moment you open, it will open through what? EndNote, right? Okay, so let's check something here. So let's open. Alhamdulillah. All right, okay. Now let's go to our EndNote screen and go and check. Now it is also here, right? Okay. So we have to click, we have to go through the same thing that we did in what? In using the Google Scholar approach. We have to fix in sections which are not included. We have to fix them up day in and day out. We have to check. As I said, I downloaded from the journal website. So you can see that the DOI is being what? Is added. Did you see? Yes. So with the Google Scholar approach, the DOI is not added. But if you use the journal website approach, you get your what? Your DOI from there, right? And most of these journals wants you to cite from the journal website rather than Google Scholar, because if you cite from Google Scholar, it will take some time before it gets registered on the journal website that this paper has been cited. So if you will not do this for anybody, please do this for me. I'm requesting this from you. If you are citing my papers, go to the journal website and go and cite from there, or go and cite from ResearchGate. That one, it will come directly to me, but Google Scholar, it will take some time. Why? So please, alhamdulillah, mashallah, do this for me, right? Okay, so we go through the same approach and we what? We click on the citation. Here, this is the insert citation sign or symbol. You just click and it will cite, just like we did using the approach. If you don't have this approach, this citation symbol here, then it means you are not using the correct version, or you are not using the paid version. So if you are not using the paid version, let's use the backdoor system. So how can we use the backdoor system? We come to what? We come to tools, right? When we come to tools, we go to sites. When we go to site, we go to what? Insert selected citation. So you see the process you go through if you want to use the backdoor. And also, so let's try as much as possible. Inshallah, when we get the opportunity, let's buy the softwares. It is for 1 year, maybe 1 year for 100 RMB. It's a little cool. So maybe you can get it. So it will ease the way and the manner we do our work. So it will be a little faster, right? So we use the backdoor system, and that is how you can use the backdoor system. You go to Tools, Cite, Insert selected citations, and you can click. It will what? It will cite as well. So let's look at how the citation came in here. This is the citation. Now, this is the citation. We have the opportunity to edit it how it needs to appear. We can change the style, the referencing style. We can also change it, whether it is the beginning of a test, it is an in test, and it was an end test citation. As I stated earlier, my senior colleague tomorrow, or maybe tomorrow next, will talk extensively about what the in test, the end test, and the begin test what referencing or citation, and even how you can add 2 or 3 citations together. I don't know the system that he will be using, but I think it will still have the same idea or the same follow-up idea. That's what I used. And I think generally this is how the system works. The Endnote system works. I have 1 minute more. This is how the Endnote system works. If you have to enjoy it and if you want to use it very well, I think you need to maybe purchase one. Yes. And you can have the full function and the full features. YouTube too is our friend. If you have any problem, you can also go there. You just search using Endnote in citation, and it will give you a little video about that. So you can go through how you can you can do a proper and a good referencing. And I think tomorrow, inshallah, our senior will help us or will take us through. I respect them so much. And tomorrow they are going to do justice even more than what we did yesterday and today. Alhamdulillah, everything's gonna be okay. All right, I think my time is up. I have only 30 seconds remaining. And thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for giving me the chance to share my knowledge, what I have acquired during my stay in China and also my stay here in Dubai with you. We also gathered some knowledge from Ghana while coming to China, and we add up all this knowledge to meet this big community. When I was in China, I didn't get this opportunity, but I also thank I thank you for the opportunity you've granted unto me to share my knowledge. My doors are always open. Yes, myself and Dr. Bright, we all share the same research area. We all have the same idea towards research, writing, and research. He's a senior colleague because he's at the top, and I am crawling down here. Alhamdulillah, I'm your humble servant, Michael Ashmond Appiah. When you meet me on the street, you can call me Kojo Dubai.
Kojo Dubai.
That's it. That's it.
I like that name.
Okay. A moderator. It is to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Michael. We really appreciate your knowledge shared to us. To my fellow colleagues, as we are far behind time, we are getting straight to the question and answer section. And without much ado, if you have any question, please, you can unmute yourself and let us hear your question as Prof awaits and answers. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please, you can talk. Please, before you talk, kindly introduce yourself for us.
Okay, my name is Jotham, speaking from Tanzania. Actually, I'm doing my PhD at University of Electronic Science and Technology of China, located in Chengdu. Yeah, my PhD is based on, my major actually is biomedical engineering. So I have a question to Prof. I've written a systematic review and submitted it to a certain journal. But after I submitted my manuscript, the journal sent it back to me and asked me to attach supporting document, which is actually, they asked me to attach a PRISMA checklist. So before they asked me to attach the Prisma checklist before they can proceed. But the problem that I'm facing is that some of the items on the checklist are not related to my study. So my question is, do I need to check in each items, or some of the items I cannot check in? That's my questions.
Okay, moderator, you can add maybe
Hello?
1 or 2 more. So when I'm addressing, I'll address 3 in a go, 3 in a go, or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, please.
I'm
So
putting
if
the questions down, so I'll address
Hello.
each and every one.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Professor. I'm Kofi speaking from Shanghai.
So the meeting
Yes,
is getting interesting.
this is not really
My bad.
a question. I just want to add. Indeed, the literature review is very, very important. I listened to one editor who is popular professor in transportation research. He also says that for him, he advises his students that the literature review should be the last thing they should write in their paper. And his reason is that after you have gotten your 4 key results or your 3 key results, then you now go and write a literature review that will support those results, so that the literature review you have written and your hypothesis will not be deviating from the results that you have gotten. So I just want to add that students, you may also consider that in order not to go in the back and forth, you can also wait when you have finished writing everything before you write your literature review and your introduction. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Mr. Philip. Please, if you have a question, you can speak whilst Prof pen it down.
Hello? Okay, hello. Can I have the floor?
Hello? Yes, please. Let me see. Mr. Zakaria, you
Thank
can
you,
speak.
Professor, for... Okay, thank you, Professor, and the organizers for such an impactful lecture and teaching. We appreciate you, Professor, for your time also. I want to know whether we can combine the results and discussion together, or they must always be separated. And in the case of a review journal, do we still have to separate them? That's my question. I'm a Ghanaian in Beijing. GS CAS. Thank you very much, Professor.
Okay, moderator, you can pick one more question, because the second one was an addition and a contribution to a point I made in my presentation. So we can pick one more question to make it 3 so I can address them.
Okay, Professor. Okay. Sandra, you can speak.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much, Professor. When you were talking, you said a paper with a lot of references, they are good. And this is to say that there was this paper I wrote, and the journal complained of the number of references I added because they were saying it was too much. And that was the reason why they rejected the paper. So I would like you to give us an enlightenment whether it should be too much or less, or how should it be? Thank you.
Okay, thank you again for the opportunity, and thank you for the questions. It's like going to a Chinese meeting. If you are 100 people, everybody will talk. They will tell you once you have come to the meeting, you need to talk. So thank you. We need to have question and answer section. For the first one with the Prisma checklist. Yeah, as I stated earlier, that with the Prisma checklist, it is about 22, 23, 24. I don't know whether there has been a modification on that, but the last time I used, that was around 2020, getting to 2021. It was 22. So if a journal is asking you to use the checklist, some of the checklists do not apply to your study or to your work. So the ones that do not apply to your work, we don't add them. But the ones that are directly to your work is what we add them. So the person who's asked the question on the using the Prisma model or the Prisma checklist, the little I can say about it is in all the guidelines or the checklist, the ones that are related or pertaining to your work, we need to hold on to that. But the ones that are not related to our work, we just leave them out. Okay. For the results and the discussion, one, I can say that per my experience as an editor and also as a reviewer, mostly we combine, or I expect authors to combine the results and the discussion. But there could also be a situation or a general style with which the results is different, or the result is presented in a different section and the discussion is presented in a different section. I in CSR and environment, corporate social responsibility and environment. And with this, the journal expected that the results be presented differently and the discussion differently. But in most of the papers that I have personally reviewed and for the papers that I've personally edited, I expect my writers or authors to add the results and the discussions together. Yeah, so we can go by the journal website, the journal style, but I think the most acceptable way is add them together. All right. For the last question on the references, whether being too much or whether being too little, you know what you are doing and you know what you are writing about. Yes, but mostly I have a quota of references that I have to hit. Yes, for a paper, it should be between 30 to maximum 50. Master thesis, it is what? 30 to 80 or 100. For PhD, it is what? 30 to 150, maximum 200, right? Maximum 200. PhD thesis, PhD dissertation, maximum 200. Maybe you can go a little. A little. If you ask a Chinese, do you speak English? He says a little. A little. But he will tell you a little. Yeah, so you can go. you can go a little. You can go a little, 200. Master thesis, you can go a little, 100. And with a paper like a journal with a quality paper, quality papers, you have to maybe between 30 and 50 maximum. Maybe you can go a little, right? Yes, and some of the reviewers, hard hard and it is not always the chief editor advises that say, don't tell them to cite your work. You can tell them to cite your work provided, and I repeat, provided it is related to the study. Right? Provided it is related to the study. And I will suggest my work when it is related to your study. If it is not related to your study, I will not request or I will not ask you to add, right? But some reviewers, because they want more citations, they will They will tell you cite works, which is not relevant to the study that you are doing. And at the end of the day, it is going to increase your number of referencing, right? Yes, so you have to also look at that. And finally, with the references being too much, cite quality works. And I repeat, cite quality works. There are so many predatory journals online. Do not cite them. Cite quality works. Quality works from Wiley, from IndaScience, from Springer, from Elsevier, from Taylor and Francis, from Emerald. cite those works. Those are reputable journals that we need to cite them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so not being too less, not being too much. You have to get a range. You cite the quality ones, and the quality ones you may get around 45, 50, maybe a little, a Chinese man, a little, 55, a little, maybe. All right. So I think I have one way or the other provided a suitable answer to the 3 questions. Maybe we can take some few more, depending on the moderator's discretion.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. Due to time, we are just taking our last batch of questions, and
okay,
we'll answer it all together. Mr. Samuel, please, you can speak.
Yeah, Professor, follow up to the number of papers you have to cite for a review. For instance, if you are doing a literature review, which you are considering close to 50 papers, which you are reviewing. And in this case, obviously, when you are writing introduction, you may cite other papers outside the 50. So the possibility of having more than 50 references is going to be high. So you were trying to make the point that when you are writing a paper, at least at most 50 papers is okay. What if you go beyond the 50? Because maybe the papers that you are reviewing are, let's say, 50, and you do that and you add other, you cite other papers in your introduction or other parts, and so you may go beyond the 50. Is that also okay, or you still have to find a way and reduce the papers you are reviewing so that you can be within the limit of 50?
Okay, concerning a systematic, that is, you are talking about systematic review. Yeah,
yes,
with
please.
a systematic review or a pure literature review, the papers that you used, although you cite them and it is in the referencing, it is out of this paper that you are bringing your findings. So we may, or it might not be counted, or it will not be counted, even if it goes beyond, because this is where your studies are being centered. But in a normal paper or in a normal work, that your work is not your work is not purely systematic literature review. That one you have to get what? A limit that you can go.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
But some journals are not so much concerned about the reference, the number of references that you give. But at least you have to have some discretion, be kakrebi, so not too much, not too less, but at least 50, maybe a little 60. But if you have more, give more, because you are reading, you are citing, so you can give more. But if you have a quota to meet, I think from the point that I'm coming from, you have to meet that quota.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
yeah,
Please, is there a question?
yeah, there is.
Okay, you can add that, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Prof, thank you for the opportunity and for your presentation. My name is Suleiman, a third-year student, PhD, Management Science and Engineering, Xidian University, China here. I have a question. I published a paper in November, and then on that same month, I submitted a paper to another journal. Right when the paper was published, I realized that the similarity in the other journal that I just submitted, it increased. Will it affect my review? Because from November till now, the paper is still under review. And secondly, I know maybe I just saw some in your presentation, I just saw something like innovation, maybe in that same Elsevier, maybe my paper was just submitted some weeks ago. It may come to your desk. When it comes to your desk, temper mercy with me. And then I want to ask. I want to ask. For instance, in that paper, right after I submitted it, 3 days after that, I realized that it was online. And I didn't know why. But when I inquired, it was like in my submission, I click a place called preprint.
Preprint.
That is what.
Yeah, preprint.
That's online. So will it affect my work that I've already submitted? Because currently, I think about, that was on the 7th that I submitted it. I submitted it on the 7th. So it's yet to be given out for review. So it's still with the editor at the moment. So that is why I'm saying that from your topic that I've seen that you've published, it's likely that it may be sent to you, maybe for as a reviewer. Can you enlighten us on some of these things? Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Moderator, any other more questions?
Yeah, please, one last question, if there is any.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, you can speak.
Yeah, this is Amara Masakwe, Media Publicity Secretary, University of International Business and Economics here in Beijing. Professor, this question was asked yesterday to Professor Bright, but he requested that I should wait for you, the appropriate person, so that you address this particular question for me. Talking about the research gap, I want to know, after selecting either of the review methods, that is a theoretical, either the empirical or the conceptual, does it mean that I have to write my gap immediately after the review? Then secondly, I want to know if to review books, what appropriate method do you prefer? I recommend a shorter way of reviewing books so that the heavy work will be lessened. I don't know, just to ease our body. Thank you.
Okay. Any one more, then we wrap up with it. All right.
Yeah, if one more, I can give my last one, please.
Okay. All right.
Please, let's take the last one. Thank you.
Well, my name is John, and I'm a soldier, right? I'm a master's student, currently working at this. My question is not really related to literature review, but I'm going to answer. Going to say where to put my question at. So I'm trying to do an interview. I'm trying to include an interview in my thesis, and my thesis is about political science, about politics, and I want to interview some ministers. But one of my PhD seniors was like, is going to be very hectic for me to input such data because having or doing interviews with political or government institutions are actually in a different level, and I actually don't know how to record or let's say put such data into my thesis that I'm coming to write. Do you suggest that I should go ahead to do the interview, and how do I incorporate them or the data into my thesis as a master's student? That's my question.
Thank you very much. Prof,
Okay.
can you start?
Yes. Let me start with the interview one because that is fresh in my mind. Yeah. We have different ways of gathering data when it comes to primary research. Yeah, so we have instruments that we can use to gather data and in primary research, and interview is one of them. Yes, interview is one of them. Looking at our political landscape, I don't know where the study is looking at, whether Ghana or any other, but I know definitely it will be home. Looking at our political landscape and the year that we are in, it will not be advisable to use the interview method or the interview as a way of collecting data. Yes, forgetting about the number of people that you could reach, or maybe how tedious it is, or whatever. But the time is because we are in the election year, and maybe he might think, or the person might think that you are going to use the information for any other political or any other reasons. So we have other means that we can use to collect the data rather than the interview. Unless maybe we are limited to the use of interview, that is fine. But you are in China. How can you interview someone in Ghana? It is also another point or another reason. So if the senior PhD researcher is advising that we look at how and the manner that we can gather the data, that will be fine. These Chinese people, they will not give you money to say go home and go and collect data. They will not. Although you state in your red book. In Jiangsu, we have some book called Red Book and Green Book. You state in the red book or in the green book that you wanted some funds to go and do the research. You state it inside. Every day they will tell you to write it inside, but the money won't come. So we have to do something which will be a little convenient and easy for us the more, right? So the interview, it is a face-to-face something, provided maybe you can have it on phone, on WhatsApp call, and looking at the time difference and looking at the season on the weather that we are in. When I say we, I'm talking about China, that we are in. It is cold and you can't stay along that time to maybe do the calls and stuff. So if you can use any other method that you can use to get the data, that is fine. I don't know the area within the politics that you are searching, but you can go to ISA, some of the websites around Ghana Statistical Service and all these things to get people's views. You can go to this CSOs, their websites. You can go there to get the views about people, because they have gone to the ground and they have such a data to work. So when you can visit those websites for that. And that's aside that, maybe you can use any other method, like maybe the questionnaires or maybe some other survey or something to look at it. Yeah, I just saw somebody just raise an issue here. Please, you said that master thesis is how many pages? It's depending. Master thesis is not the pages, it's the number of words. So PhD is around 50,000 to 55,000, according to Chinese standard. 50,000 to 55,000 words, and it is around 150 to 200 pages, PhD. So the master's is 30,000. The maximum is 40,000. So if 50,000 to 55,000 words is 150 getting to 200 pages, then master thesis, which is 30,000 to 40,000, you can just imagine the number of pages. So this one just came in as a year radio. So now, yeah, kind of message will be there for Friday. Using the backdoor system. My answer was CRY. Let's go to the gap after the review. Yes, a very important question. After doing this, raising the gap, let's tell us where, after doing the review, where you have to place your gap. In the introduction, what you do there is identification of problem. Yes, mostly identification of problem is being done there. That is most of the time, the identification of problem or the research questions is being raised in the introduction section. But the gap is being done in the literature review section. Most of my reviews comment is that combining the different thoughts in your literature review. Now, what is your work covering? That is how I will ask you in a review. What is your work covering? That is the gap that you want to identify, right? So for the gap mostly comes under what? Under the literature review section. Theoretical, you can get a gap there, but mostly the gap is being found in the empirical, right? If the person who asked the question is with me, yes, the gap is being raised during after the empirical, not the theoretical. The theoretical is a background that where the idea that is backing your study. You are not going to propound any new theory. No, you are not going to propound any new thing. It's already there. So that the only time the gap comes in is when there are two thoughts about a way of doing things, right? Just like environment and innovation. We have iPath and we have spare parts. We have two models. So you can what with this something like this, you have you can have a theoretical gap, right? Because there's two ideas talking about the same thing. But when the idea or the theory is one, there is no need, or you cannot get a theoretical gap in there, right? So most of the time, it is knowledge gap. That is where we get it from the empirics or the empirical literature review. And it is done after the review itself. Not forgetting in the introduction, it is the research problem and the research question. Yes, because when you link all your papers on as senior brights talked about yesterday, the problem in the world, the problem in your region, and you narrate it to your study. So he was mostly centering on research problem, research question, research problem, research question, research problem, research question. And as I stated in my submission, that some of the literature review that you write should be inconsistent with some of the literatures in the introduction. So your research question and your research problem should give birth, or your research gap should give birth to your what? Your research question and research what? And research problem. This is why I would always say that you start to write. This is my approach. A colleague raised that the literature review can be written at the end. That is fine. But per the approach that I used, me Kojoduba and me using it there, the literature review will come so I can identify the gaps, and based on the gaps, I can use it to design my research problem and my research question. So that is the little I can say about the gap after the review question that was being asked. And finally is the similarity. Because you used the same system that you used for the previous paper, you use that same system to check the new work. That is why you get a lot of similarities. So we have something called overlapping, right? Yeah, we have overlapping. So that is why you had a lot of similarity. Remember that the system that you are using is different from what the journals are using. So you could have tested your paper in another place to check, because still your paper that you tested is still in the system. So it is better you take that one off the system. If you are using 1010, you take it off, and what you will upload the new one, so they will not be that overlapping thing. But if your old paper that you publish is still in the system and the new one comes in, you will see that overlapping. So it is going to definitely increase the similarity index. But the journal also have a different system of checking, so they can also look at it. And if they have issue with similarity, by now the paper would have sent back to you and they will tell you to reduce it. I had a similar issue around 2020 in China. That was when I published my first SSCI in environmental science and pollution research. Yes, they told me my paper is good, but I need to reduce their similarity. Yes, because I use most of my works I didn't cite, but my words, I was still using the same old words. So they told me it's good, but I need to reduce it. That was when I realized that I use the same, they are using a system, and the system they are using and the system I'm using, they are all having the same database. So they find my work in my work, my previous work in my work. So they told me to reduce it. For the 1010, your school have a different 1010. So your school will use a different 1010. And if they see your paper inside, they will subtract the the percentage of your paper they've seen in the report against the total. So let's say you had a total of 10, and out of the 10, they've seen that your paper is 5. So they will take the first 5 out of the 10. So it will be left with 5. So the person who just asked the question about the school using 10 and this is how the small I can say about it. And for the preprint has nothing to do with the peer review or with the publication issue. They don't have anything to do. They don't have any connection. It's just that you want to tell the world you are doing this and that it is under review. Although your paper will get rejected, but still this preprint can still be on the internet. It doesn't mean the paper has been published because it has no journal name, it has no issue number, it has no page number, and all these things. It has nothing like that, right? So for the preprint, sometimes it happens to us. We forget and we click the preprint check system, but it has nothing to do. I've encountered situations where my preprint is still online, but my papers got rejected. Yes, my preprint is online. My paper has been peer reviewed, edited, and published, but still I have my preprint there. So you can go wherever it is, you can go and take the preprint off. But as and when we are going forward, do not opt for the preprint option. Unless, because if I go and look at that idea and I see that I can just twist something from it, before you realize my paper will come and still your paper will be under review. So we have to check on that as well. Okay, I think all the questions have been exhausted. You can hit me up on any of the social media platforms. When you go to LinkedIn, my name is Michael Appiah, PhD. When you go to Facebook, Dostal_GH. When you go to ResearchGate, Michael Appiah. There, when you go to what do we call it? Scopus, Science Direct, everywhere it is Michael Appiah. It is Michael Appiah. If you see anything related to DOSCON, DORSCON, it is the same person. I can be Dostal, I can be DOSCON, I can be Michael Appiah, Amdallah, I can be Kojo Dubai as well. Okay, moderator, up to you.
Thank you very much, Professor. We really appreciate your effort in today's gathering. Please, as we all know, the knowledge shared by our professor is priceless and we cannot quantify it in monetary terms. But as a union, we do it our best to also appreciate his effort to share with us such an insightful exposition on literature review. So we have a citation to present to our guest speaker for today. Please, media. Okay, thank you very much. So I'll call upon Ms. Stephanie, the chapter president of Nanjing, to do us the honor to present the citation to our professor. Thank you. Ms. Stephanie, if you are available. Okay, so due to time, I will take the citation on her behalf. Citation of honor presented to Professor Michael Ashmond Appiah. The National Union of Ghana Students, China, deeply thank you for your astute delivery on the topic, the importance of literature review in research writing, hands-on with Endnote, at our research masterclass, Mastering the Act of Research Writing, Techniques and Best Practices, held on the 17th of February, 2024. The program wouldn't have been successful without your contribution. We treasure your time and dedication towards nurturing the research acumen of students and hope to have another impactful session with you soon. We are truly grateful for your acceptance of our invitation and your research guidance. God richly bless you, sir.
Amen.
Amen. So we are getting to the close of today's session, and we'll call upon our National Vice President this part to give us the closing remarks.
Okay. Please, can I be heard?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for making time to join today's session. Yesterday was awesome. Today has been much, much, much more greater than we expected. And Prof, we can't pay you enough for all that you have shared with us. Yesterday and today, the knowledge shared had actually been in depth. We appreciate your sacrifice and we appreciate. And yes, as Prof said, subsequent sessions are going to really be great. We want to have some Zotero and then mentally training. So these people coming are also awesome, as we have witnessed from today. So please don't miss out. It's next week, Friday and Saturday. And then we are using the same link. We won't have the problem we had yesterday. So please, it's the same time. So please make time, share the flyers and the information with your friends so that we all come together and then learn as much as we can. Research is one major requirement for us to graduate. And so whatever we can do to make sure we excel in that area is very important. So we hope to see you again. Our friends from other countries, we thank you for joining this session and wish to see you again. Thank you, and everybody have a very wonderful night rest. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice. Please, we are taking our closing. Yeah. Our dear Lord and Master Savior, we thank you for such a wonderful section of our master class. Indeed, you have been through all with us, even in this second day. And it's our prayer that whatever we have come to learn here, Father Lord, may you grant us the extensive knowledge to put them into practice. We also pray that, Father Lord, may you continue to increase the knowledge base of our guest speaker, even as he continues to exploit the world. We ask, O Lord God, that let your presence come and dwell within us. Even as we depart here, we ask that may you keep us safe. Take us through the remaining days ahead of us. That even when we meet next week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, your presence will also be with us. And we pray that everything we may do after us will be a success. We ask this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
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 Amen.